Hello and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fictional, the variety show that revolves around one central theme: stories and the people that tell them. If you haven't done so already, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. And hey, if you're feeling up for it, leave a comment down below, let us know you subscribed, and we will give you a shout out. Hello and welcome
to Stories,
the True
and the Fictional.
Weren't we going to let Chris say the fictional?
I don't know. I'm just following this. I am robot. I am following the script.
Yes.
Given how I didn't know I was meant to say the
Exactly.
fictional, I think that was a good. I do believe Ryan made the correct call to jump ahead.
Look, I've been in the business longer than him, kid. So just
I am but a humble newbie on this journey.
So,
Well,
listeners, finally, we have mentioned Mr. Christopher Park on this podcast many times in reference to certain stories, and now we have the man. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Well, it is good to be here. Good to see you all well, and to do this virtually rather than in person. As I always say, the best conversations are had over the internet.
Well, if it's not COVID, it's floods. So
I hope the locusts and the toads are a little bit more better for us.
For those playing at home, Chris actually was on episode number 3.
Oh, he was too. Yes.
And we are returning.
I don't recall that.
Remember when we did a whole thing on history? We actually mentioned what we're going to talk about today when we get to the main topic, the Emu War.
Ah, yes.
And we talked about Mad Jack Churchill, who fought in World War II with a bow and arrow and a broadsword.
Still the greatest story I've heard, but
I still don't know how that's
one of the most
movie.
amazing tales. And yet, you're right. The fact that there isn't a movie on such an event does seem a little shocking.
And what's worse is it is so hard. There's a book written on him, but it is so hard to find. You cannot find that book anywhere.
Who wrote it?
I can't remember. I wrote it down somewhere, but probably some guy that was related to him.
Yes, that's probably the issue, isn't it? Probably it's out of print.
Maybe they don't want to encourage people to suddenly pick up the old-fashioned style of fighting.
Or he was just insane, and then
Well, I think he was English, but he was very much inspired or influenced by the Scots because he wore a kilt and played bagpipes.
Well, then I don't think he's English, then, isn't it? I would imagine he's then just Scottish serving in the British Army.
Yeah, but from memory, I don't think he was Scottish, but I think he just loved Scottish stuff. I could be wrong, though. If you want to know, go back and we'll listen to episode 3. But yes, we're going to talk about my book and Chris's book called Letters from the Emu War. But before we get into that, what do you say, Ryan? Why don't you hit us up with our bad jokes?
Yeah, I can do that. Being our 50th episode, I've gone for the baddest of the baddest of the baddest of the baddest.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I'm going to try and lower the bar as much as I can. It's like what I try and do every single week. So, look, guys, I was reading through a Lost and Found and Gumtree page, and I actually found out I saw a sign for a radio that was on sale, $1, but the volume's stuck on full. And I thought, geez, I can't turn that down.
Wow.
And here's one especially for you, Chris, because we all know you're a massive Star Wars fan. Did you know that Yoda actually had a last name? I don't know if you know that. It was actually Leahy Ho. So Yoda Leahy Ho. I can't yodel at all.
Well, apparently Jamie can.
I just thought I'd share that with you, seeing as you're a Star Wars fan. So, as I said, I've lowered the bar once again, which I intend to do every single week. Just wait till we get to episode 100. There'll just be tumbleweeds, crickets.
That is arguably, and I've heard some bad dad jokes in my time. I've even told a few. Those quite like, again, if there ever was some sort of Geneva Convention on bad jokes, I would imagine that these would be listed at least in the top 10 of terrible puns that are punishable by some sort of capital crime.
Well, I'm lucky that I didn't write them. I just read them. So they're from the Bad Dad Jokes forum on Facebook.
Wonderful.
But someone had to write them. That's the issue, isn't it? That someone had to either craft them and say, hey, this is a great idea. And then enough people has had to basically share them around that it's now on a Facebook page somewhere where other jokes are freely shared.
And to be honest with you, they're all about the same quality. Some of them are even worse.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well,
I'm trying to do my part by passing those along to our listeners. And as always, if you do have any dad jokes that you would like to read out, send an email to thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com.
You got it.
Right, finally, after 50 episodes, I've gotten our email address right.
Wonderful. Well, what do you say we move on to the story of the week? This is a great one.
So tell the story, Jamie.
Tell the story.
Well, okay, so I'll bring up the article, and it says the headline is "Woman Stuck at Blind Date's House After Swift COVID Lockdown in China."
Oh, God.
So this woman went viral after sharing what happened to her on a date after a date offered to make her dinner just before thousands were rushed into quarantine.
Surely there would have been a little bit of leeway for the poor lady.
No, well, China's pretty strict.
Unless there was someone standing out the front with a gun. I mean, I've never been to China. I don't know how swiftly they enforce their rules.
Weren't there videos coming out of China where they were actually boarding people's doors up?
I think in the early stages, potentially. Yeah. So I remember seeing something along those lines. Is this story, again, is this a true story, or is this something from I don't know, this kind of feels like the bad scripting of an OnlyFans video or some sort of Penthouse forum. Dear Penthouse, I don't often write in, but
I was gonna, I don't normally write in, but I had to share. No, I honestly thought, is it the guy himself? Oh no, he's gone to the trouble of making a fake VHS COVID national news alert just to get her to stay the night.
I think that's the better story. I mean, think like this: a lonely man, after multiple dates, has failed and hasn't been able to, to really finally finds that someone out of fear of losing it, because she's such an amazing girl. He realizes if he can concoct a large enough lie that people have to believe it, he's now managed to lock up this woman in the same proximity with them for at least several months. I mean, that's essentially what they do with The Bachelor. I mean, you lock a bunch of 15 to 20 women in with one guy. It's just over time they'll assume he's the greatest thing in the universe. Whether he is or not is debatable. This is the same concept. I think that's the better story. I think this guy is obviously a genius.
So what you're saying is the entire country of China, the however many billions of people, were in on it.
No, I'm going even further.
He's going further than
He went to the wet market himself, and he picked up the bat that he knew would infect the world. He ate it in preparation for this date, made the video, which is just himself with a fake drawn-on mustache, saying that there's an imminent COVID lockdown. He's infected her with COVID, which essentially makes him patient zero and her patient one.
Oh, no. I'm going to go one step further.
Okay.
Really, this all happened. The Center of Chinese Disease Control called up, and it was another guy. And he said, look, I'm going to level with you. I'm trying to score with a really hot chick. And he went, hey, I've got you. The message then passed on to the Premier of China, head of China. He went, understandable. All right, no, all right. Hey, look, we'll go for it. And then went to United States, to Trump, who went, he's trying to score. All right, let's run with it. And it went around the world to other male leaders until they all agree that this man's scoring was of top priority. 2 years later,
And they didn't include, obviously, and that's why I think the snap lockdowns are more in force in New Zealand, because these guys just didn't call Jacinta and say,
maybe they called her and she refused, and she was like, "I'm not going to. That's ridiculous. Why are you calling me for this particular thing?" And
exactly,
it's more plausible. This is the most plausible story I've ever heard.
COVID was caused by a man just trying to get laid.
And other men doing what men do best, which is being wingmen to other men they have barely met or known.
Allegedly,
yes.
That magic word. Yeah, I think that's a better story than the article, Jamie, to be honest with you.
That's why I didn't read any more. I just read the headline.
Good, because this story makes sense now. It makes sense now.
What did Barney Stinson say about stories?
Why would you let the truth get in the way of a good story?
Exactly.
I mean, right now, that kind of thing would be in some sort. Again, that would be in Barney Stinson's playbook. They'd open a page and go, "What's this?" Like the pandemic.
The pandemic, yeah. The pandemic.
Come on.
Man. So, Jamie, does the article say if it worked out or not?
No, it doesn't tell you what happened in the end.
Maybe they have. Maybe they're happily married, or maybe he just Joseph Fritzled her and locked her in the basement.
Well, maybe it's not his first rodeo.
Maybe
one per lockdown.
One per lock.
So like a Zodiac killer, but really taking your time, like just really like.
Yeah, but one that cooks for them as well. So that, I mean,
I'm pretty sure all serial killers do something creepy, like cooks them, makes dolls, just does something creepy to them, to the victim.
I mean, it probably depends how he cooks, because cooking in general isn't creepy.
Oh, there's been. I mean, we don't want to talk too much about serial killers. That's our other podcast, but I think there's a lot of different techniques, or I like to call them signature moves of serial killers. They cut off the skin and wear it. They cook them up. They have sex with dead bodies, and this is a very uplifting topic.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone needs to have some sort of signature move of sorts, and clearly this guy was to create a pandemic for each of his victims, which is
And look, I think he's got Jamie, because I think we've lost him. No, he's back. I was just looking at a smiling picture of Jamie for about 30 seconds without any movement.
That's because he's in the mountains.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where he's actually still flooded in and can't get out of the mountains at the moment.
No, well, apparently the flood water peaked yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yesterday.
So what's that? 3 days to go down normally? About 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, 3 or 4 days. I'd say 3 days, but hopefully it won't start raining again.
Well, it didn't rain. I don't think it rained at all today out our way. It was nice and sunny.
I don't think it did.
Well, but this is not the weather podcast. Again, that's another one of our podcasts. So I think we should get into our main topic for our 50th episode.
Oh,
absolutely.
And I like to call
how
this topic,
hard it is to predict the weather. Now,
I like to call this topic self-promotion. Because let's face it, why have a podcast if you can't use it to sell stuff?
Hey, no, we're also celebrating.
Yes, we are celebrating as well.
Because Chris Park and J.A. Bryden have landed a publishing deal with a publishing company for our hilarious book called Letters from the Emu War.
I still think we should have gone with the original name, but I will let you know. That is neither here nor there.
I don't think it would have been accepted.
I'm completely aware of that. I understand.
Well, maybe Ryan can moderate this discussion if he wants to.
So does that mean I get to pick a winner?
Do you wanna? You could ask us the 5 icebreaker questions, or just go.
Oh yeah, okay. I remember the icebreaker questions off by heart pretty much by now.
Wow. Okay. Crap. I wasn't expecting that, but
I can do it.
All right.
I'm an interviewer now.
Professional.
So, okay, Jamie.
Yes.
Let's start with you. Am I asking you both, or am I just asking Chris?
Well, why not? We're
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice.
Okay. I'm going to ask you both, and you're both going to give me an answer, not at the same time, because that's not good radio.
No.
Jamie,
Yes.
what's the first question? Naga, if you could get rid of one thing in the world, what would it be?
I'm going to do the Jillian response and say, I'm not going to say what I want to say because it'll get me in trouble. And I'm just going to go,
What? Just be honest, Jamie. This is our 50th episode. They can't cancel us any more than they could have from any of the previous episodes.
I'm going to say big government.
You took mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, the political alarm is going off.
But no, look. If Chris wants to say that one, I'm going to say my childhood dream of ever, if I could get rid of anything in the world as a child, it would be lasagna. Lasagna.
Not poverty, not animal cruelty, not.
No, look, because I put together these questions, I am going to. It's fun, light-hearted questions, not heavy topics.
I've never understood your aversion to lasagna.
Yeah.
You like pasta and meat and sauce.
And they go together and make lasagna.
That is literally all lasagna is. But for some reason, when they mix it in between and cook it at the same time, your mind tells you it's bad. Like again,
no, my stomach tells me it's bad. I've had it 5 times in my life. 4 out of those 5 times, I have sent it back out into the world from the way it came in.
Okay, fair enough. That wasn't.
I think we have to. I think we have to test that. I don't think. I'm not satisfied that that's a suitable enough answer. Like,
oh look, he's just going to flaunt his hosting thing and just say, look, I can't think of anything else. So, Chris, why don't you elaborate? If you could get rid of one thing in this entire world, and you can't say The Last Jedi, what would it be?
Damn it!
No, because
Ryan Johnson.
We talk about you and your relationship with The Last Jedi.
I don't wish the man ill will today. It's fine. See, I was going to say big government, but that's obviously that's too easy. That's too simplistic.
Yeah.
If I could get rid of one thing in this entire world, and I know this would be damaging to the ecosystem. I'm fully aware of it, and I don't mind this in particular, but getting rid of spiders overall won't be such a terrible idea. Again, I don't care about spiders. I'm not afraid of spiders, but the concept that you hear about, that you eat X number of spiders throughout your entire life.
8.5.
8.5. We live in Australia where they're going, hey, see those white ones over there with the white butts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, don't go near them. What happens? You die.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, where do they live? Oh, anywhere you live. That's where they live as well. So again,
the white tails.
It's like again, I understand that apparently they're important to the system or to the ecosystem, but I'm sure there could be, again, I'm sure if the entire species of arachnids die, there'll be other things that can cover for it.
You get on well with Gillian Clare.
Yeah, that was her answer, and I supported that fully as well.
It's just a weirder creature. Like, again, it's just a weird creature that you look at and say, why? What is your purpose? You just live in my house, and then when you come in, I have to then spend hours trying to find you in case I have to, like, because essentially when you lie down and you know there's a spider in your room, you're going, well, I'm going to wake up and eat it, aren't I? Or it's going to crawl across me. Like,
Well, not even that, Chris. It's, as you and I both know, we both have animals in our house. Mm-hmm. Like, if there's, we need to find it, because if your dog or my cats get bitten by it, they're gone too.
Yeah, exactly. They're a much smaller animal. They can't exactly survive the.
You know what? I probably should have led with your small child rather than your dog. I do apologize for that. That's probably, he's probably more important than.
Although incidentally, he would probably survive a spider bite versus the dog wouldn't, because
exactly. Yeah,
entire modern medicine is catered towards keeping babies alive, whilst dogs aren't exactly,
Well, as the moderator, I'm giving Chris 1 point for that answer, and
okay.
he has 0 points for that answer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Jamie.
Yes.
What's something on your bucket list?
All right. Well, I'm gonna do a 2-parter.
It's okay, fine.
No, every guest has done it.
Yeah, but you're not a guest. You're a host.
Yes. Well, then I get 3. No, look, I'm curious by the Northern Lights. I want to go see the Northern Lights. That's one thing.
Yep. I'll agree with that.
A podcast bucket list. I would want to get every voice actor of Michelangelo, the Ninja Turtle, not the painter, and get them in one room to have an interview and get them to talk to each other. Because I think that'd be hilarious.
Do you know the correct name for the Northern Lights, Jamie?
No, I do.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure Chris would know.
oh, you know this, Jamie.
Come on, Jamie.
It's been referenced in pop culture.
Yeah. I'll give you a hint. It begins with A.
Give him another hint involving a specific show that was, that was referenced in a.
Are you talking about the old show Northern Exposure?
I know the name.
Actually, Northern Exposure was set in the town that can best view this 2-word thing beginning with an A and a B.
Think about the actor name of David Boreanaz, and then float around that name.
No, okay, we're gonna put it's the Aurora Borealis.
And the show I was referring to was the Great Simpsons episode where the principal was cooking for the superintendent, and in the kitchen was on fire, and he said, "What's that?" The Aurora Borealis at this time of year, at this location, and isolated specifically to your kitchen. Yes. Well, can I see it? No.
Yeah. Good, very, very good answer, Jamie. And Chris, same question. What's something on your bucket list?
Oh, that's honestly, I did not come prepared for a what's on your bucket list kind of questions and answers. I was told that this interview was going to be full of softball answers, Yeah. But if I suppose what are the parameters of said bucket list?
But something that's on your bucket list, something that you want to do before you die.
Okay. I would like. Oh, good God.
Just tell us what you want to do.
It's all right. Take as long as you want. Jamie can edit the silence out.
Direct your own.
That is a great idea. I've always. No.
Direct your own Star Wars movie.
No, that's too obvious.
Right.
And it has to be something that I'm trying to also make something that is going to be achievable within my lifetime as well. That's that's easier to achieve. Okay, I'll go on.
Yes.
I've always wanted to go to Disneyland, Florida, Disney World, Florida.
Not Disneyland in LA.
Sorry.
Not the Disneyland in LA.
No, because that's smaller, and by considerable standards. If you're going to go to one, I've heard this. If you're going to go to one Disney area, apparently the Orlando Disney World is much larger because again, larger landmass. It's not inside of the city of LA and inside a tiny area. So apparently it's like larger. There's still apparently like thousands of people, but again, it's always something that you go like, oh yeah, if you're going to go on a holiday, what would you want to do? Yeah, go to Disney World. Makes sense, I guess it's something that something you always want to see once, and maybe with travel back on the table, it could be something that will actually happen.
And look, to be honest, that's a great answer. It doesn't have to be. I want to be the legendary director of the next, whatever.
Yeah,
it's just something that you want to do. You know what I mean? Mine
that seems more achievable than some of my other goals, which is to become emperor of the world. Again, that seems just far more achievable.
And look, you don't want to announce that on this podcast.
No.
Someone goes, "Hey, I'm going to keep an eye on that Chris Park,"
who will then become soon to be emperor of the world. Yeah.
So yeah, look, Disneyland's good, man. I like it. All right, Jamie.
Yes.
Is the question that I will judge you on, as I say to all of our guests.
Yeah.
What is the greatest sitcom of all time?
And do I get to part to it with my favorite?
Yeah.
No.
Want to. All our guests say that.
He says it. I once interviewed someone who gave us 4 and then said, no, and then just listed sitcoms. That's not the game. For me, Scrubs.
Well, that was kind of a given. Yeah, I'll give you that.
But
is that the greatest of all time, or is that your favorite?
I'd say, it's the greatest.
Okay.
But my favorite, and technically, it's in a sitcom format. That's Gallivant.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's an interesting question. Are we talking single camera sitcoms, multiple camera sitcoms? Are we talking live studio audience sitcoms? Are we talking?
We're just talking sitcoms. Any or doesn't matter if it's live audience.
All of them.
Camera, every sitcom.
The greatest of all time, eh?
Yes.
So one that stands head and shoulders pinnacle above the others. Is that correct?
Yep, correct. And it's your opinion. So, yeah.
There have been a lot of great sitcoms. I think there was like an era of great sitcoms at one stage where everyone was trying to make their own sitcoms, you know. People, you could say Friends or you could say Seinfeld. Obviously, can't say Seinfeld because, you know, as the fun game is played, add mobile phones into every single Seinfeld scenario and watch it fall to pieces and watch it basically. It doesn't happen. Friends, they're just a bunch of sociopaths who then bring in people to date. Like, again, it's just, again, so I guess if I'm going to talk about the greatest sitcom of all time, I believe in my personal humble opinion, that would have to be Whitney by Whitney Cummings. That lasted 2 seasons and is arguably one of the greatest sitcoms of all time, in my humble opinion.
Interesting.
Sharp writing, good characters, funny jokes, completely underrated in my mind.
Whitney.
I do know who Whitney Cummings is, but I've never actually seen it. I'm just trying to.
She did a 2-season sitcom, and it was, and honestly, it still holds up in my mind.
Okay. I might have to check that out. Whitney. So
I'm pretty sure it's called Whitney or something. I'm assuming it's something along with her name. But yeah, she did a sitcom. Check it out, and it's hilarious.
Excellent. Well, I like that. That's not something that I expected from you. You are right. It is called Whitney. It ran from 2011 to 2013. Starring Whitney Cummings, Chris D'Elia, Rhea Seehorn, and a lot of other people I'm not really familiar with. So,
I don't think they're that big. Yeah. But there was one joke in it that sold it for me, and it was hilarious. And maybe I'm not sure if I remember showing Jamie the episode, and like I was like almost on the floor laughing, and Jamie was there going like, I don't get it. It's where she's basically she's trying to, I guess, quote unquote, spice up the relationship. So she dresses as a nurse, but rather than going, but then she makes her partner fill out long insurance forms, wait in a waiting room, and do the full levels of bureaucracy in the sexy nurse outfit. And I was like cacking myself laughing.
I would too.
And Jamie's like going,
experience.
Oh, what's funny about that? I'm like going,
come on, Jamie.
Come on, man.
That's hilarious. Because I want you to dress up like a sexy nurse, and she does, and then makes him sit in a waiting room.
And fill out forms, and it was hilarious.
That's okay. That's okay. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
Not your thing, but yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
This is not the Turn on Jamie podcast.
Apparently, it is.
That's our other one. Well, no, both very, very good answers. Okay. The second last one. This will be an interesting one. Jamie, what is your zombie apocalypse plan?
Well, stay where I am.
Wow. Okay. Quickest answer I've ever heard.
I'm out bush. If things get bad, I'm actually pretty safe where I am. If I'm honest.
Wow, what a boring what a boring plan. I think by that plan you'll die before everyone else does.
Really?
I don't know. If the zombie breaks out,
it depends where it starts. Like, are we talking? Does it start in my town? Does it start in my town, or does it start?
If it starts in North Richmond, I think we're like they might head up the mountain. But then there's zombies too. Are they the fast-running zombies from like 28 days later, or are they the slow zombies?
Jamie's sitting up here going, "I'm safe in the mountains." Guess what everyone else is thinking? go to the mountains. So they're going to go through the cities. They're going to battle each other. They're going to fight and scrap and do things that they didn't think imaginable when they were still living in a normal, civilized society. So when the group finally make it to the mountains, these hardened warriors and killers with weapons, crossbows, explosive devices, Jamie's going to be like, well, I'm safe in the mountains. This is my house. They don't care about the rules, Jamie.
Oh, that's a fair point.
They're going to kill you and potentially eat your skin.
But let's
come on, man.
Let's put it this way. If it starts in the city, I'm going to have at least, a little while to prep properly.
You didn't mention that. You just said stay where you are. I'm sorry. Where was the prepping plan?
Fine. I have no plan. There.
Yes, that's what makes you a dead man.
Podcast to turn into an episode of the Joe Rogan Show. Come on, guys. Everyone has their own plans. Jamie's plan, as flawed as it is still a plan.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's not a plan. I just think it's a bad one.
And Christopher Park, what is your zombie apocalypse plan?
Well, obviously, in my house already, I have 3 types of swords and a bow and arrow. I also live in a house where that's on a hill that you can't access without me actually rolling up a garage door. That means I'm protected. So every night, I'll then venture back into town and hunt and scavenge for food, picking up things of vital importance, finding people that I want to bring back into my, little kingdom, and then develop the skills necessary to survive. Then when I come for Jamie's house, I'll be ready.
I just have one question, Chris. You have this roller door at the front of your house that just blocks it from everyone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tell me what happens when the power goes out.
You pull a thing and then it locks it or unlocks it.
Yeah, it does have manual capabilities.
Really? Because when did you figure that out? Because I remember quite well that you got trapped out once.
Yeah, so if you're outside and the power goes off, you're screwed. If you're inside, you then can change the mechanisms.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So power goes out. I will then still be able to lock it, obviously, and then I'll be able to obviously open it.
Yeah. But how will you open it when you're on the outside?
At that point, when you go out, if the thing doesn't prevent it, if people go back inside once I'm out, that's why you leave traps, obviously.
So you'll have a doorman or
booby traps.
Yeah.
That's the only sensible way to do it, I would imagine.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. Both fantastic answers. And we're on to the last question. And just so I don't give Chris prep time, I'm going to reverse it and ask him this question first. Okay, Chris, Elon Musk gets on the phone and he said, Chris, I really like you, dude. I've just invented an electric time machine and I want you to test it out. Where do you go? And what do you do?
So I can go back in time to any.
You can go back or forward. You can go
forwards.
whichever way you want.
One trip.
Back or forward, correct?
Yeah.
One trip.
Time machine.
Is it one trip or can I come back?
No, yeah, you come back.
And I'm assuming we're going to Back to the Future rules to say that anything I go back in time, I would fundamentally change the world.
Butterfly
versus
effect.
If I go forward in time. Is that correct?
Butterfly effect is in effect.
Butterfly effect is in effect. So essentially, if I go back and forward and say, okay, here's what I would do. I'm not an insane person that's going to go around and say, if I go back in time, I can end all wars. If I go back in time and kill Hitler, there'll be no Nazi Germany. No, there'll just be another Nazi Germany. I will go back in time, find the person who invented either the machine gun or tanks, and kill that person. Then jump forward in times. I'm not saying we can ever end war because it's in humans' nature to kill each other. What I'm saying is I'm going to try to limit the amount of killing by limiting higher capacity firearms. And so essentially I could jump back forward in time. Essentially, we could be in a revolution situation where everyone's still using swords, giving people a fighting chance on the battlefield.
I agree. That's noble, but still with a little touch of death. I like it.
I'm a realist.
Jamie, what would you do?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of wish we knew we were doing this and I would have prepped. But I've always had this idea.
Isn't that the point?
Yeah,
I've always had this idea of going back in time. I got to find a time where all the amazing comics came out and buy first prints of all of them. and then bring them back.
You want to go around about the 40s.
Yep.
So 1936 through to 1940 is when you got Detective Comics 21, Action Comics 1.
Yep.
Amazing Fantasy 15, Spider-Man. Yeah, round about that era.
That's a more realistic one. That I've heard other people say, like, I'm gonna go back in time and buy like millions and millions of shares in Google, Apple, Amazon.
Yeah.
And then I always ask them, then, so congratulations, you now have, so the initial share offering, you've now bought 51% of the company. Yeah. Do you know every decision that Bezos made to steer the company to success? Or do you know every decision that Steve Jobs and Wozniak made to steer that company to success? Because you'll be sitting on the board and making vital decisions as a primary shareholder or the major shareholder. You might turn you probably will turn that company into a piece of shit. So
back and there'll be no Apple, there'll be no
exactly. So Jamie's one of buying something tangible that he knows there's value to sell. That makes complete sense.
And I probably would open a bank account too and just put some stuff.
Yeah, put $10 in and just watch it build. But then you'd have to think about if you go back to the 40s.
Yep.
And then you come back to 2021, you've got to make sure that you're going to have access to that bank account. So you can't just go and go, I'm 38 here, and then this amount of time.
But even more so, if he puts it in a bank account, particularly if it's in America, or it depends on which country he puts the bank account in, or even Australia, you'll be going through several banking crises and depressions, and so you probably might lose all that money that's in there.
That'll be a test.
Your idea, Jamie, is good. Going back and buying like
tangible items.
If you bought those three, bought Action Comics 1, Detective Comics 27, and Amazing Fantasy 15, you're set.
Now,
first edition.
The question I would have about the comics specifically, if I buy them then and then I'm assuming Jamie's not going to try to take them back with him at that point, because if he takes them back with him at that point, they'll look like brand new reprinted comics, where most comic authenticators would say this is a reprint because there's no way it would have looked like this in this condition. So he'd have to buy those comics, research a bank that has a security deposit vault that has a long history of safety and stability from the vaults, and no floods, no fires, no accidents, and store those inside that vault, sealed as best he can.
Bags imported, 100%.
So then he has evidence to say that these comics were put in there at this time, and he's taking them out this time, giving it a trail of nice evidence, making his sale then even stronger.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for the tip.
And look, to be honest with you, you could bag and board back then, because all bagging and boarding is cardboard and plastic.
Yep. It's like the comics would probably look a little, but it'd still be in a decent condition enough that he would make a significant amount of money.
Put it this way: a single page from Amazing Fantasy, one page, sold for $69,000.
I mean, think about all those kids who bought the first kind of Star Wars action figure lines and how they played with them like fools.
Well, the other idea I have is, but I wouldn't be able, because you're not allowed to talk to yourself, are you?
No, that's a big no.
Okay, can I drop a note to myself?
But are you going to be, theoretically, would your so you would go back how many years?
I would go back to when I was a child.
Yeah.
Leave a note saying, do not throw out or do not get rid of your action figures.
Do not open them.
Well, do not open them. Do not.
Then you have to go back to an age where you can sort of appreciate what that means too. Because if you go and give that to 6-year-old Jamie, he's just going to look at it and probably eat the paper.
Yeah. No, yeah. Like, I'd be old. I'd be 12 or something.
12. But still, 12, think about what was going through your mind when you were 12-year-old.
Oh, no. Look,
just started puberty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but good premise. I think that's your best answer out of the 5.
Strong answer.
Strong answer, yeah. But that's like, being the smartest kid at a dumb school or something like that, It's still good.
Will I leave now?
No. I don't have to answer those questions, at least right now, so I've got prep time.
Well, when your book comes out, the shopping list.
Yep. I told you I'm still working on front and back cover quotes.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I've got a few people interested. Yeah. So I'm just going to wait on that. But
Cool.
nice segue. Let's talking about books. How about we jump into the main topic?
Yes,
Now
let's
that
do
we've
it.
got to know you guys a little bit. Let's talk about letters from the Emu War.
Cool. What do you want to know?
Tell us.
Wow.
tell us about
What an amazing seller of ideas and that Jamie is. Like,
No, look, I get it. I get it. Because you both co-wrote it, maybe I should be the interviewer type. So where did you come up with the idea?
Okay. Well, look, a mutual friend, an old friend, Andy, if you remember Andy, Chris.
Oh, I remember Andy very well.
yes, Andy.
Yes. Well, he came back he worked at Taronga Zoo, and he came over one day, and he was telling me how much fun he has telling the tourists that Australians declared war on emus and lost. I'd never heard that before in my life. I was like that's hilarious. And then I immediately just thought this has to be a movie. So I came up, I met someone down the road from me who knew used to work in Hollywood, knew people, and he said, "You should write a script, we'll make it." I said, "Oh yeah." I sat down and wrote a script, and he read it and then said, "Let's make it." And I went, "What?" But that sadly fell through, didn't happen. And but the idea just stuck with me, and it kept coming back to me. And I wanted to do it from the emu's perspective. There's been a lot of projects, a lot of books written.
You want it to be unique.
Yeah. So in my head, the whole time, this has to be from the perspective of the emus. And now John Cleese and Rob Schneider are doing a movie, but it's not from the perspective of the emus.
Yeah.
And this had to be from the perspective of the emus because it is hilarious. And then I just one time, so about 4 years after I'd written the script, I sent Chris a message. I keep coming back to this idea.
Yeah.
What do you think about correspondence written by emus?
And what did you think about that, Chris?
Well, Jamie had a very good idea. And he was basically saying he wanted to basically write a story about sort of, emus fighting the war, that sort of World War I, that era of basically trench warfare or isolationists, where they're sort of emus are sort of by themselves, and they're telling the story of the everyday life of the emu in the war. And then I just said to Jamie, I said, "Hey, you know what would be even more ridiculous and probably more hilarious and probably more ridiculous to the point where we probably shouldn't do it." And I was like, "Have you seen Ken Burns' documentary on the American Civil War?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, here's a letter. Here's a snippet of a documentary. And the snippet was of obviously a soldier reading, a letter being read out from the soldiers who would send home. And the letters of those eras had a wonderful writing style where it's almost passionless but filled with eloquence. They're all and if you look at all the letters of the soldiers going back home, they'd often write things like, "I hope this letter finds you well, and that and it pleases you to know that I am the same. I am remiss to remember that the last time I sent you a letter you've told me that our cousin was also joining the war. Please send him my best regards." And it was these beautifully formal things, because when you write a letter back then in the war, they would write all over the page, up the side of things. They'd flip it over, because essentially it's not like sending a text to be like, "Hey, dude, how you feeling? How's it going?" You have to take your time to write it, and it has to mean something. So then it's sent off. So then I said that to James as a joke, saying, "Hey, let's just write it as if they were fighting the Civil War." And then then Jamie goes, "Oh my God, let's do it." I said, "All right, here's a bunch of letters that are like Dear Martha, and this one's like Dear Sarah." And then we read it and just laughed. And then for some reason, we just kept laughing to the point where we were sending each other the letters back, going, "Hey, here's this one." I was like, "Hey, here's this one." And then it got to the point where we were saying, "They also need a religion." Okay. And then I was like, then James was like we were pitching ideas for religions. And I was like, "Well, no, it's like Christianish faith." And I said, "Yeah, all. I was like, maybe like I was like going, should I like call it the all? And James was like, how about the all feather? So going, yeah, no, that works. And then that came about. And then from that point, now knowing the constructs of what we were working on, and then that no idea was too unridiculous, we just decided to lean into what it could be, which is, birds fighting a war and writing back to their loved ones. But obviously these birds are eloquent writers and can obviously use pens and dip their letters in inkwells and then inscribe letters of grandeur. Yeah. And then obviously Jamie came with the idea of having some pictures and some like news articles, and that sort of really spiraled the concept and idea.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, and they make the book too.
Absolutely, they're key. They're a fundamental or key element, I think, into it. And so that was the idea. We played around with the few letters, and then essentially, whilst it is obviously, Jamie sort of told me some of the events that happened in because we had to come up with because you say things in human society, that you can't say in bird society because the word, so you have to we had to figure out like if you want to say something, we'd have to like we want to say use a metaphor, we'd have to sort of like change the metaphor and change the things. And then I was like going, I wanted to reference the land of milk and honey, and Jamie goes that emus don't eat milk and honey, but they do eat bugs and what is it
fruit and caterpillar.
Fruit and caterpillars. So
it's their favorite food. So
the land of fruit and caterpillars became a thing. And then we have also like apparently emus eat pebbles or rocks or something.
They use pebbles to grind their food because they can't digest their food essentially.
Okay.
Yep, so then essentially that then gave us a currency. You to put pebbles on the table for your family so they can eat. Then obviously when they're being shot at, Jamie gave me a really good account of some of the things in terms of what's happening when they're being shot. I was going, cool. So then to the emus it looked like they'd be spitting pebbles. They're going, right, let's go with that. And then it just went from there. Jamie, take over.
Yeah, and we had I think one of the things I found most enjoyable was changing the names of things. Like humans aren't called humans, they're called short necks because of their short necks. There's a whole page at the back of the book which is terminology.
Terminologies, yeah.
So, I mean, there's subtle things like instead of saying first hand, they'd say first wing. Chris came up with the idea of calling any other bird that isn't an emu a cousin. So a kookaburra is a laughing cousin. I think I put a cassowary in there somewhere, like the angry cousin with the blue fin or something like that. There was, and I'll read an excerpt because this is probably my favorite thing in the entire book. There's a section of journal entries.
Yep.
Where it's just I just spent like a full day just spitting out short journals. And one of our characters, it's probably one of my favorites, is William J. Whistlebeak. And he's
William J. Whistlebeak.
He's a scientist, the explorer, he's there to chronicle. What's the word? Chronicle the journey.
The chronicler.
Yeah, and so he has an excerpt that says, so he basically what's happening is he is meeting with the enemy behind the backs of the commander, General R. Longtoe, and he's worried that General R. Longtoe will use his information to win the war, that sort of thing. But he's like, no, I just want to do this for my studies, kind of thing. But he writes this article or this journal entry. I have been meeting with another shortneck regularly. We have begun breaking through the language barrier. Shortneck is not a term they understand nor like. The preferred term is Robert. He said this while pointing at himself. Despite trying to clarify my own name, he now calls me Emu. It is a little condescending, if you ask me. I will work on better ways to communicate, and hopefully this Robert will start using a different method other than food. Not that I am complaining.
Nice.
So yeah, there's like I think there's 10 characters in the whole
Yep.
book.
There's a few, yeah, there's a few characters, and then essentially, much like Eddie's story, it was just a bunch of sort of journal entries. We sort of had to. We also wanted to make sure that there was a narrative that was woven through it.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing follows specific characters. So it actually tells the story of like the war, how it goes, then obviously how it ends, and then obviously with a journal, you sort of switch from different perspectives, and then you realize certain characters are, how vital they were to the end of it, but all versus versus others, and then because also we're history. Well, I'm a history nerd, and we like history. We looked at Edward, the sort of the leader bird.
Yeah.
We looked at several characters of historical note, and we sort of went with a combination of a George Washington and a Ulysses S. Grant, sort of thing in terms of like how he would like speak and how he would feel about his men and his birds and as they're called, the mob. And then we come up with some of the more crazier ideas like that emus can only count up to 20, even though there's zero evidence that that's a thing, but apparently it became a thing.
Oh, excellent.
And then also Chris had the amazing idea of having a squad of outsiders helping them on their help them fight the good fight. So you had a Tasmanian tiger, you had a koala, you had red kangaroo. Now, one of the things, the best, like this is what we call the kangaroos in the book. We call them bouncers.
Makes sense.
Now, in the movie script that I wrote, I had this hilarious scene where these emus were trying to take a look at this ravaged crop, like something bad had happened, and they're all trying to get this look, and there was a kangaroo at the front going, whoa, 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 whoa. So he was like a bouncer. Yeah. No, so yeah, and it's what makes it so ridiculous is this is a true story.
Yeah. I remember, I recall the time I hadn't heard of it until I met you guys.
Yeah.
And when you told me the story first, I'm like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But there's no way that the emus could have won a war against guns and weapons and stuff. And then you look into it, and you go, oh my God, this actually is a piece of Australian history that happened.
Yeah.
And I think that just makes it.
Yep. We lost a war to birds.
Yeah.
I think again, I can't stress that enough, that a branch of the Australian military has a loss in their column, and it's against birds.
Mm-hmm. And I think Scott Morrison's sitting there right now going, okay, if Russia come to our shores, I'm raiding the zoos. Arming our birds. It's Emu War 2.
Emu War 2.
Reckoning.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Reckoning.
Hey, they beat it. They beat the soldiers. So Putin will never see it coming.
Well, apparently, allegedly, the quote says from the man that was trying to kill all the emus, the bullet carrying capacity of these birds is insane. Mm-hmm. Like they're just like, and then they're like, come at me, bro.
Essentially, Australia's first super soldier.
Yeah,
they could bullets just refract.
The fact that we don't have an emu man.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean,
why haven't our scientists tried to splice DNA?
Chris, I think we found our second book.
Yep, Emu Man. Captain Australia.
No, there's already a Captain Australia out there.
Damn.
But he doesn't do much. He just
even better. We'll call him Captain Commonwealth, and we're basically we're going to tell the tale of Australia's war efforts against the Germany in Africa, but rather than sending a normal soldier, they'll splice in some emu DNA into Captain Commonwealth and give him emu powers.
And he even follows that comic book trait of having the two letters that are the same, Captain Commonwealth. I like it. Oh man, no, it's a fantastic read, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I bought it like 5 times. At the end, I think I worked it out. I ended up with 2 hard copies and 3 Kindle copies. Don't know how that happened, but it happened. So, yeah, it's a great book. It really is. But
So it does follow the timeline like to it. Like the amount of research I had to put into this. So I basically mapped it out. I went, so it was a drought. They moved out west in search of food. So that's one section. And then there's the war. Then there's the home front where the people back home sending
All
letters.
war stories have a home front, obviously.
of course.
Then they have Chris's hilarious short chapter of orders from the command.
I'm not saying the government is stupid, but
hey, it's the Emu government. And then we have the every historical book has to have a what happened to them. Where are they now?
Like every historical movie based on a true story, you know, you have the stills of the real person and what happened to them, and you have to have that if you're writing about history.
That's in there, yeah. So yeah, look, this version of our current version of the book is it's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. It's pretty much everywhere it's available, but grab it while you can, because there's going to be a new updated version coming out in about a year probably.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, me and Chris, we had to do the things that we talked about doing, and stick it all in.
But yeah, so okay, so you've told us about the book. You've told us where you can buy it. The next question is, what's next for J.A. Bryden and Christopher Park?
oh,
If you're able to, I know you signed to a publishing deal now. If you're able to talk about anything, what's next?
Well, yeah, well, I don't know what I'm doing with it yet, but I've started working on turning a trilogy of movies I once wrote into novelettes, essentially, you know, short 25 to 30,000 words. So my first one was inspired by Chris Park, sorry. Ooh! I'll beep it out.
Edit that out. Edit it out. Get it going.
Yeah, so many moons ago, probably almost 10 years now, we threw a medieval themed bucks party for Chris. And I think we all came up with the crazy idea. What would happen if the zombie apocalypse broke out at a medieval themed bucks party? So that idea stuck with me. I wrote a movie about it, but I took it to an extreme, like what I would have wanted to do, minus the zombies. Although Chris may have been into that. You know, like next level, everyone's in proper armor, proper weaponry all around, plenty of drunk people. Just likes drunk people.
Yeah.
So I wrote a story about zombie apocalypse breaking out at a medieval themed bucks party, and Chris has read it and he says it's okay. So it must be.
I've read it. I like it.
One of our guests, Rolly Ryan, is reading it at the moment.
Rolly.
Yeah, well, I need a woman's perspective.
Jamie's future wife.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, sure.
I'm calling it now. What's the date today? The 9th of the 3rd, 2022.
wow.
I'm calling it.
That's not at all stalkery or creepy.
Yeah, that's
no. She was an amazing guest, a really, really nice girl, which is exactly what Jamie needs.
Are you getting away with the fact that you're gay and you can just say anything you want? Yeah,
Pretty
right.
much.
Okay. Yeah.
As I said, it's all a hoax, just so I can say whatever the hell I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Get in trouble for it.
Yeah. But that's what I'm working on. I'm planning to do a trilogy where it all ties together. But now it's up to Chris if he wants to reveal what he is working on.
And there's no pressure. No pressure.
Well,
I always
absolutely. So obviously I'll be working with Sir J.A. Bryden on, once he's created his masterwork of the first zombie book, I will be producing the audible version of said book, and I will be voicing it with character voices, accents, and putting a lot of effort into the audible version of this book.
And I don't know how
As-
you're going to do that, Chris, because you're not very good at doing that at all.
I know there's
So,
zero voice talent whatsoever.
no. Look, I just want to
Couldn't
be real as a
even
friend,
hold
as
an
a friend.
accent. Absolutely. Not at all something I'm capable of. But anyway, I do believe it'll be one of my finer pieces of theatre or material that I'll be creating. And from that, there is obviously another project that we're currently working on. We are branching away from we're expanding our horizons, going from a hilarious book of emus. We have a children's book in the work, which is honestly one of the it's something that it's a book that I wanted to write for my own son, something that he could enjoy and read, and teaches him valuable lessons about libertarianism and how the government is stupid. And there wasn't no books of that nature that really suited my needs. So we've created what we're going to do with that one. I believe we probably should send it to the publisher just as a again, I think we should do it just a submission just to see what happens. But if not, then we'll probably self-publish it because it's too hilarious not to. But then Jamie and I are working on a full-length novel of a fantasy sci-fi genre, something that is near and dear to our heart, and something that we've discussed it multiple times, our love for all things hero's journey and of that nature, and so we're working on that at the moment. Still doing the first draft, about halfway through, and then obviously that's just the first process of it. Still not sure what we'll do with whether Jamie gives it to the publisher or whether we self-publish. Still deciding that way, but either way, plan would be again to also do an audible version of that book, but this time with full music scoring, backgrounds, and sound effects. Rather more of an audio drama than a book, I'd say.
And you can always go down the route of, okay, this is what we're going to write for the publisher, and this is what we're going to write for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like
Correct.
the project you're talking about, and it is near and dear to both your hearts, and you don't. That could be something that you keep and you use the publisher for other books, build it up, and then you can release this on your own.
Absolutely. We'll still be decided. Lots of work to sort of go into that project. But obviously the first thing, from outside of things, first drafts of the zombie book are almost done. So very shortly, I would imagine that Jamie will be able to start handing me chapters, so I can start putting them into audible form. And then basically getting his approval on characters in terms of their voices, because I think Jamie has a list of Jamie had a potential list of characters that needed different voicing and different accents, and so we've been working on it. If it's a little bit the Ukrainian, it's a little bit easier for me to do, but we're still sort of working on what voices we want to do. So essentially we're still essentially that's part of the process, which is essentially Jamie has to finish get his sort of drafts ready, so then I can start recording and start digitalizing it into voice.
Very exciting. Sounds like a lot is happening right now. So very exciting times. Let's just hope that this is the year that everything starts moving along, which it already has.
Absolutely. And as obviously as we've been discussing and as we've been going through, I believe there's further things to do on your you guys have a normal a sort of standard flow, but I was promised I was going to that Jamie was going to give us his in-depth review of The Last Jedi again. I thought that was definitely something that he was going to I thought that was going to be discussed in great depth, how a movie that fails not only as a science fiction movie but as also as a Star Wars franchise movie, but also as a sequel movie that leaves zero jumping off points for a trilogy. I don't know. I thought that was going to be something that he was going to.
I think
I pretty much said that last week anyway.
There's this political talk. Is it Dave Rubin? You heard of Dave Rubin?
Vaguely.
Yeah, well, he's some talk show guy. He's like, I don't know where he stands politically, but I heard him once say, Last Jedi is one of the worst movies ever made, and it was really clear that Rian Johnson doesn't like Star Wars. I mean, that sums it up.
And my view on it is, my mum used to say, if you can't find something nice to say about something, don't say anything.
Yeah.
That's as simple as I can make it.
Is that
I
why?
cannot. I've tried twice to make it through that movie, and I cannot.
Is that why you say The Last Jedi is a movie?
Yeah,
Again, I've seen that
definitely
movie.
a
Again, I saw it 4 times at the cinemas. I wanted to like it. I was forcing myself tooth and nail in the last few sessions to grit and just bear through it.
Yeah.
But alas, it again. I think there'd be like again compliment sandwich. I think that's always good to have a compliment sandwich of things.
Yeah.
But is that possible?
Yes, that movie is a visually spectacular film. The cinematography, certain scenes in terms of the setup and design, certain even the music and scoring, and sound effects are absolutely top shelf, phenomenal. It's just not a Star Wars movie. It's it's like, that's So all that aside, if this movie, let's say they removed the Force, the Jedi, the First Order, they renamed everything and threw it into something else and put this out as a standalone, it would be a sensational quasi, I guess you'd call it sci-fi, but it wasn't really sci-fi, kind of film. There's a lot of debates on whether people whether Star Wars actually is a science fiction film. I'm actually on the opinion no. A lot of
Journey.
A science fiction film, if you look at a lot of what sci-fi is versus people who like Star Trek and other sci-fi is very technical in terms of how it's written. You got they talk about certain it gives you explanations on how certain things work. Star Wars doesn't do any of that. It's more fantasy where it's like, this is magic. How does magic work? Shut up, it's magic. And it moves the story along in that sort of regards, while sci-fi is more introspective and deep thinking, and you have those Blade Runner, for example, sci-fi. Star Trek is sci-fi. This is more of a it's a space fantasy. I'd say probably classified as, but then essentially in that movie, in this Last Jedi, you have a ship running out of fuel, which was never mentioned in any single Star Wars movie ever because it wasn't really important, and that just that's not something that happens in Star Wars. They don't talk about the fuel the same way we don't talk about actors not going to the toilet on cinema. It's just not done.
No, I agree. And look, we don't want to get too much into it because we both know that you could probably do an audio book on what's wrong with Star Wars, The Last Jedi. But look, and as I said last week, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and my opinion is it's a piece of garbage.
Like I said, there are a lot of people that like that film. Great.
Really?
I have a very controversial opinion as well, where I believe that Revenge of the Sith was one of the better Star Wars films in the entire trilogy. And the final lightsaber battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan was actually one of the most emotionally charged scenes of Star Wars, where it was the brute force and ability of Anakin versus the defensive principles of the Jedi of an experience of Obi-Wan. And people say like, oh, what does the high ground mean? What does that actually mean? Is it going, he knew Anakin. He taunted him. He threw out a taunt that was obvious that he knew exactly what was going to happen. That's why he said, don't do it, because he knew exactly what Anakin was going to do. Because as soon as he said, I have the high ground, it wasn't because he had magically on the high ground. It's because he knew that his student was arrogant and his student would try something flashy and arrogant. Perfect. Again, most people say, people say, are you a original Trees fan or a sequel fan? Or original?
Why do we have
they're all Star Wars. They're all good. It's all good. I like some movies better than others. Last Jedi happens to be at the very end of the ones, of that movies.
Look, and why do we have to be prequelists, or why do we have to be?
No, you don't. Absolutely, you don't.
I enjoyed Rise of the Skywalker, the last one, because I felt like it made up for a lot of.
I believe, I'd like to see sort of a Snyder cut of that movie, actually, where they give us 4 to 5 hours of 3 episodes. Come on, Disney Plus, 3 episodes. 4 or 5 hours. Come on, let's just this is really because they had to squeeze in a sequel and a third movie into a single film. Let's spread
But
it
I
out
mean,
a bit.
I've watched the Snyder cut of Justice League multiple times. The 4-hour runtime doesn't faze me.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah. Look, that's going to wrap up the main segment we talk about here on our 50th episode. It's probably going to be a little bit longer, but that's
Oh yeah.
that's what 50 episodes are for.
Yes.
But now we might wrap it up with our segments. What's the next segment, Jamie?
Ryan's recommendation.
Oh, so we're doing it the right way finally. Okay.
Yeah.
So Chris, what you might not understand is that Jamie always puts this segment after the main segment, but then we never do it that way. Jamie says, "Oh, the next segment is something about him and stuff like that." Even though I can see on the run sheet it actually says that order, and I'm very
I never
procedural.
really look at it.
So yeah, but
Take it away.
Take it away.
look, this is going to be really quick because I know we're running over time. This is a movie I watched. It came out a while ago. I actually rewatched it today, and it really impressed me again. And you guys have all seen it. Most of the people watching have probably seen it, and that's Pacific Rim. I decided to give it a watch this morning. And look, I only have one qualm with the whole movie, and that is if you're going to have Australians, please get Australian actors. These guys did the worst Australian accents. They sounded more Kiwi than.
And ironically, the American did a better Australian accent than the Englishman.
But I mean, look, this movie, I watched it again. It's probably been about 5 years since I watched it. Still holds up. Idris Elba, Charlie Hunnam, absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to watch the sequel tomorrow. I don't remember many fond things about the sequel, but I will watch it again because I remember the only time I watched it, I was in a lot of pain with a tooth infection. So I'm going to give it a go. But no, Pacific Rim, it's on for you guys in Australia. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Paramount Plus and Netflix, I think, as well. And in the States, like I always say, do your own research and find out where it is. Yeah.
I would imagine it's on various So I agree. I 100% agree with you, Ron. I think that's a fantastic film. I think they made some small errors, which are, which again, I understand. I sort of understand why they did it. Or I'm completely baffled of why they made certain decisions. For example, how is the female character not the principal character in the story? The one where she was there, she was taken in by Pendergast, trained through there. She wants to be a pilot. He refused to be the pilot. That sounds like the main character to me. And then the Charlie Hunnam, is that the actor's name?
Charlie Hunnam. Look, I think
he's the main. He was the main character, and I guess it's because he's as a white. I don't know, a white principal actor. But let me pull out the Asian card. I don't often do this. But if you're going to make an anime mech movie and your principal actor or lead character isn't of Asian descent or Japanese, and she's the side character, you've done something significantly wrong in your planning.
Look, to be honest with you, they both had arcs. Hers was the hero's journey arc.
Hers was better.
It was. No, I'm not going to lie.
The
redemption arc because he failed. His brother died because they weren't, and hers is the hero's journey. And we all know that the hero's journey arc should always come first.
Absolutely. It's a much stronger arc, much stronger story.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I still really enjoyed
it. No, it's a great film. Yeah. The set pieces in that one are, they're incredible.
Definitely.
Have you heard any of they also explored a whole bunch of comics and other things, and those.
Look, there's an animated series too called I can't remember what it's called, but it's on Netflix. They did an animated series one series, an anime series of Pacific Rim as well. I haven't checked that out, so I might, but that's there too. But yeah, Pacific Rim, good movie. Check it out if you're looking for something. You want something a bit, comic-y, sci-fi-ish. Check it out. Cool. And now it's time for my favorite segment of the episode. This is a segment, Chris, where Jamie reads us out an email from his spam folder. You'd be surprised. It's actually a lot.
How much porn versus Viagra does he get?
No, look, he won't read those ones out. It's always.
I'm sorry, then he's not reading an accurate representation of his spam folder. I'm sorry,
will.
Jamie.
When this is
over,
not
reading about Viagra or about girls who want to meet you or about any
of
those
things.
The
girls that want to meet him and men that want to meet him too.
All right. Sorry, Jamie. Read your segment.
I will send you guys a screenshot of my folder to verify that there is no Viagra in it.
Jamie, we don't have time for that.
And that's not because I've moved it to my main folder.
Of course it does.
All right.
Jamie, we don't have time for that. We're just going to make our own assumptions. So please,
Absolutely.
the email.
Okay. Well, this one comes from Mrs. Aisha Al Qaddafi.
Oh, Gaddafi, Colonel Gaddafi's daughter. Yeah, excellent.
Excellent.
Dear friend, I came across your email contact prior to a private search while in need of your assistance.
Oh.
I am Aisha Al Qaddafi, the only biological daughter of former president of Libya, Colonel.
Oh my God, I called it.
Beautiful.
I called it. I said,
Please continue reading.
I'm a single mother and a widow with 3 children.
Oh.
I have investment funds
Oh.
worth $27,500,000 United States dollars.
United States dollars. Excellent.
And I needed a trusted investment manager / partner because of my current refugee status.
Yeah.
However, I am interested in you for investment project assistance in your country.
Ooh.
Maybe from there, that's weird, we can build business relationship in the nearest future.
Business relationship or business and relationship?
No,
This sounds like the start of every romantic comedy ever. I'm just saying. I'm just calling it now.
I've seen
willing-
several Sex in the City episodes that start like this. Seriously.
Sleepless in Seattle can go suck it. This is the real romance.
I am willing to negotiate an investment / business profit sharing ratio with you based on the future investment earning profits.
Okay.
Your urgent reply will be appreciated. Best
Ooh.
regards.
Colonel Gaddafi's daughter.
Yeah.
Well,
Now he was Colonel Gaddafi. Was he doesn't take too kindly to people who don't see his, or I'm guessing his daughter's way. So may not be responding to that before you get a whole bunch of Libyan soldiers.
I'm pretty sure he's dead. Like, I'm pretty sure they executed him. I could.
Yeah, but she's probably taken over the regime. Maybe this is how she's getting her troops into Australia for the invasion.
Yeah,
now, the fact that it's United States dollars, is an indication of the power.
Yeah.
It's the power of one state over many. So clearly, it's a stronger currency she's talking about there. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Jamie,
look,
you'd be foolish not to.
Business too. She's not
Yeah,
saying
absolutely.
I want to love to make you or something like that. Like she's business. She's all business. No promises of hey, we'll see how this goes. And
But we know where it's going to go. I mean, we know it's going to,
She put you in the friend zone straight away with dear friend.
Yeah.
Like if this was a movie, it's clear that like this girl will be played by Meg Ryan and Jamie will be played by either Tom Hanks or Billy Crystal. We know this movie. We've seen this movie.
Yep. And look, Jamie, what did your response say?
You know this. I don't reply.
Look, how are you going to get 47 million United States dollar if you don't reply to some of these emails? You had an email from John Kennedy last week, for God's sake.
You got to take a chance.
I mean, Chris, with a name like John Kennedy.
Oh, it's Kennedy.
Seriously.
You reply to a Kennedy. That's just a rule.
But no, look, I understand. You don't want to risk it. You want to. This could be the new book, The Love Between You and whatever the hell her name was, Gaddafi. This could be Bridget Jones's Diary 7 or whatever the hell they're up to. But look, that was another fantastic. I'm looking. Warren E. Buffett would be proud.
Absolutely. Actually, no, we should modernize the actors. She should be played by Jennifer Lawrence, I would imagine.
Okay, yeah.
And Jamie would then be played by
Chris Pratt.
Jamie look like? Not Chris Pratt.
Kiefer Sutherland.
A bit of a
Wow.
weird age. Maybe one of the Harry Styles, one of those One Direction kids.
Would they be willing to shave their head?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be the next big rom-com.
You've now got 27 million US state dollar. So you can back the money truck up.
Exactly.
So as usual, another fantastic email from the pages of Jamie A. Bryden.
Yeah, well, actually, one came from our Stories the True and the Fictional. We're starting to get Stories the True and the Fictional spam mail now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how you know we've made it. We've got our first hate mail. and we've getting spam Warren E. Buffett,
Yeah.
John Kennedy emails to our email address. I think 50 episodes was great to announce that Jamie is now married to the Libyan princess.
Which is funny because like 10 minutes ago you're trying to set me up with an Indian Bollywood actress. But
No, that's not trying. That will happen, my friend.
I believe that this one is a stronger candidate because she has
27 million US
$27
dollar.
United States dollar.
United States dollar.
No, look, I think his personality with Rolly would go better, or Red Bubblefish, or whatever. We have a user that thinks Jamie is cute on our YouTube channel named what is it? Red.
Rubberfish
Don't pretend
Media?
like you don't know.
No, I have to remember. Rubberfish Media, I think.
Rubberfish Media commented saying, "I'm interesting," and Jamie is cute.
Oh, you got
Well,
level
I mean,
interesting.
she's barking up.
Oh,
the tree.
damn,
Doesn't worry
son.
me. I'd be more disappointed if it was a he and he says I'm interesting and Jamie's cute. And,
Oh man,
yeah, so
that's a kick to the
look, I'm
the
used to
region.
and I'm happy to be the smart one, and Jamie can be the one that just looks good.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, imagine like,
That's
what a brutal kick.
oh well, it's the way. Once you make it big, you have to be able to take these criticism quite well. And Warren E. Buffett is my man. So yeah. But I think this has been a great episode. As I said, it's probably gone a bit longer. So if you've been watching, thank you very much for sticking with us. We hope you've enjoyed it. These 50 episodes and the new projects we're working on. I've got something in the pipeline myself that's going to be coming out soon. We've got some more interview schedule, haven't we, Jamie?
Yep, we do. Well, next week, Joe Weaver's episode drops.
Yep, Joe Weaver. He was very interesting to talk to.
The week after that, I believe it should be hopefully Wade Simmons. We had some issues with that recording, and I've got a friend trying to fix the audio for us.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Chris, for coming on.
Pleasure as always.
Talk about your budding author credits and your future Audible credits as well.
Indeed.
Make sure you buy the book now. Jamie, have you got a copy within reach?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Oh my God, what kind of publisher? Christopher,
Well,
do you
it's
have
going to
one?
come up on the screen, so don't worry.
You're gonna put it on the screen,
Okay.
and then he's also going to promote the living hell out of his next book, and then make sure that you buy the Audible version for the best experience.
And
Look, this way, I could have gotten all of this for free, but I spent $27 United States million. They're definitely worth it, and in all seriousness, Chris is probably one of the best voice actors I've heard. Like, been doing so many Dungeons and Dragon podcasts and stuff, so it's gonna leave you wetting yourself with excitement of laughter.
Yeah. So guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that jazz.
Buy us a coffee.
Yep. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF and you can support us that way. And well, thank you for sticking around for 50 episodes, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Adios.